Welcome to Why Are You Awake? Paul Farahvar here, your host. This week we have comedian Mr. Derick. Please follow him on social media, Instagram, all that good stuff. Follow me on Instagram as well. Also, if you're listening to this podcast, go over to my YouTube page, youtube.com/paulfcomedy, and you could watch us live. Go to my website, paulfcomedy.com, for upcoming dates. And also, check out our sponsors. As some of you know, I used to be a practicing lawyer in Chicago. I no longer practice, but from time to time, I need a lawyer. And when I need a lawyer, I call my friend Scott Shapiro. Scott Shapiro has been practicing law for over 25 years in Chicago. He does it all, from workers' compensation to personal injury, employment issues, and even entertainment law and contract needs. If you need a lawyer, call my friend Scott. 312-648-8800. That's 312-648-8800. Or you can email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you. You're welcome. You love sex. Everyone does. Have you ever used sex toys? Ever wanted to? Or you just feel weird about the whole thing? Well, Love Shop Toys has been in the business of destigmatizing sex toys for years, 20 years. You want a sex toy? Go to loveshoptoys.com and check out their huge variety of options. Whether you're straight, gay, trans, whatever you're into, Love Shop Toys has something for you. And if you're uncomfortable about it, guess what? They send things discreetly so no one has to know about whatever you're into. And even if you're not very active in the sex toy business, check it out. loveshoptoys.com. They send you everything, and it's free shipping for everything over $69. In addition to the free shipping, if you use the code AWAKE69, you get 20% off your whole purchase. That's right, AWAKE69. Go to loveshoptoys.com/awake69 right now and get your stuff. Get your toys. Have some fun. You're welcome. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Well, I want to tell a story, and then we're going to start this podcast. Well, the story is going to go in. Derick, I met you. First of all, welcome, Mr. Derick, to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here, Paul. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome.
Late at night.
Late at night. It is late
11?
now.
Was it 11 now?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's late for a podcast. I met you. I don't know if you remember this. The first time we worked together was at the Laugh Factory.
Oh, really?
And I think
not
so.
How I thought this was going to go.
Well, do you know when it was? I don't remember. This was years ago.
This was a long time. I thought it might have been Comedy Bar, but...
Oh, you know what it was? Comedy Bar.
Yeah, see.
All right,
Yeah.
well, you just fucked up the whole show. All right, guys. Thanks for...
well, how did... This...
Well, I remember... yeah, maybe it was Comedy Bar. I think you were headlining and I was opening for you.
Okay.
And then you came to the
This
Laugh
checks.
Factory.
Okay.
And you were like, how does this work?
Yeah.
You were like, you showed up and then you were in the back. And I remember I'm like, okay, so the light's over there. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Oh,
We
okay,
already worked
okay,
together.
Okay,
right?
okay.
And then people didn't know who you were. I'm like, he's a professional.
Yeah.
And then you crushed it as always.
Oh, that's good.
And then I started trying to get you on shows that I booked.
Yeah,
and,
you've been very...
And that's it. And then the pandemic happened, and then your whole life changed.
My whole life. Fuck, you can say that again.
Yeah, you did my podcast, Singles Only.
Yeah.
You became single.
I became single.
As an adult age.
That is right. A hard age to become single at 50.
I don't know if it is. I think
You
I
don't
talked about it at the podcast before. I think you have the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
Because you already have kids.
Fair enough. That's right. I've
And
got
now
the
you can-
vasectomy.
Yeah.
So
Now you can
ladies.
I just feel
That's
like
got to be a bonus for a lot of women. Right?
Yeah. Well, also
I'm
women.
not getting you pregnant.
Yeah,
Condom breaks, you're fine.
that's true. But I think at your age and my age, it doesn't. If condom breaks, it doesn't matter either. There's like 3 sperm left. I remember that happened to me
Paul.
once. And,
are you kidding me?
I don't think
I totally
so
could have
hard.
fathered an army.
The timing would have to be so perfect.
Yeah.
The woman would have to be like ovulating at the minute about whatever.
Oh, fuck you.
It's really hard.
All right, maybe you're right. I don't know, but still, We're not rolling the dice, is all I'm saying.
Sure.
Even if those dice are stacked against me.
Are you still single, or you've been dating around?
Still signaling. Just outside, signaling women into my apartment. No, I'm still single. I was just talking about this with somebody just before I came here, and they're like, "Why are you still single?" And I said, "Well, because it took a while to rebound from COVID. Guys like us in the gig economy, we took a fucking a shot to the groin repeatedly, and so it took me a while, and my finances went to shit. I had to dip into savings, so it took me a while to get back on solid financial ground. And I'm not going out into the fucking dating world looking for some woman to support me.
Why?
Because they're too old, and they're usually about 70. And I'm looking for some younger
sugar baby
right now. So, and if you want the fresh ones, I
love to be called the fresh
ones.
Anything under 70 is fresh.
So no, seriously though, I had to, I had to get my shit in order. I had to get my house in order, and it took me a while after COVID, and now I'm there. So I was just talking to someone about it. I was like, what do you think I should do? Should I go online?
Dating apps.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we were talking about, I think I was teaching you how to use them on the Single
Yeah,
Family
I know.
podcast.
I just wasn't ready.
You were going on dates though, right after
Well, that was because...
just for needs?
That was just, I needed to,
rebound.
I needed a rebound. I needed a palate cleanse. And...
Well, you were married for like 62 years, right?
Not quite, given that I was only 50. And didn't get married till I was 35. So it was about 14 years or something like that.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Dog years, that's fucking 72 years.
There you go. I see what you did.
I don't think that's accurate math. But.
No, but whatever. Who knows math these days?
Yeah.
Everything's done on the iPhone. So...
So you rebounded.
I rebounded, and then I thought, but I still had money at that point because it was early on in COVID. And then things didn't improve fast enough, and then I had no money. And
well, you were doing comedy full time for 20 years.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that was fine. So then
this was when we were shut down. You were shut down.
I got shut down, and I didn't do the thing that a lot of comics did on the fucking Zoom and the drive-ins, standing like with people honking their horn.
I never did that, but I did the Zoom, so it was bad.
And the Zoom. I did one Zoom, and I said, never the fuck again.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That was the lowest point in my life, was that Zoom show, that one Zoom show that I did. And I cried, first time as a man. And afterwards, and I said, what has happened to my world? What did why did this happen? And so that was hard, and so I didn't do any of that shit. I tell you what I did do, though, a couple of times, but just there wasn't the market for it, was I got myself a little speaker, whatever, and I was doing a few backyard barbecue shows.
Okay.
I did do a few of those, and some of them went really well.
Yeah.
And some of them went, they couldn't have been worse had I jumped into the pool and then someone threw my monitor in after me. And
with some other electrical currents.
With a lot of
maybe a shark.
Currents. Some of them were actually that bad.
Yeah.
So
we did a video spoof, you and I, of the worst gig ever. Do you remember that?
I remember.
You're like, here's this idea, Hell Gig. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
That didn't really go viral like we
No, it didn't.
anticipated.
We thought it was going to be the
We
next
didn't do
thing.
any of the things right.
I did a couple more of them.
Okay.
With people, and they just never clicked.
I don't think we had the the Stephen Haas expertise on how to break the algorithm.
Yeah, I think that's what we need. We just need the algorithm on our side.
Yeah.
And but I figured it out a little bit with Instagram. I mean, it's not where I need it to be right now. But it's getting there. I mean, I'm at 70,000, so
that's really good.
That's not bad.
Well, it's good enough for a situation where you didn't have ticket sales in 24 hours, and then you did have ticket sales.
And then I did. No, that's true.
That's
I took some of your advice too. I also did the Facebook thing as well.
Yeah. It's helpful.
So it is.
I'm not at 70,000, but it does help to have that following that you can lean into when you need to.
Well, the problem with my following, though, I do have one problem, is it's spread thinly around the globe.
Right.
Like, I think I have the most followers right now, according to Instagram, in Melbourne.
Oh, really?
Second is Sydney.
Wow. How'd you get that? Why there?
It's just because.
Did you do an Aussie joke?
No, I didn't do any Aussie jokes.
That's.
But I know comedy is big in Australia. Yeah. So, but I'm not.
Now
going.
You got to go there.
I'm not fucking going. Not yet.
6 planes later. Let's talk about so you did start dating, and this is turning into the Singles Only podcast, but now we're back on track. We've been on track for a while with comedy.
We're back on
your
track.
career's blossoming again.
It's starting to get better.
Yeah, you can date, but you also have a weird schedule because you're a comedian full time, right?
Yeah, but that's the harder part is I have kids.
Yeah.
So I got.
Well, they don't live with you all the time.
I have them half the week.
Okay.
So I have them Monday to Sunday to Wednesday.
Okay.
And then the weekend, I'm alone. But I think that's probably more of a hurdle. I don't think being a comic is the hurdle. I think it's a hurdle for a certain type of woman. But look, I'm not interested in any particular type of woman. So I mean,
let's go back here. You started comedy. How long ago did you start comedy? 2000. So 24 years you've been doing comedy, if you include COVID, but who knows? Yeah. You're from Canada. Mm-hmm. Whole different country. Apparently. Not United States. It's not in the United States.
You won't find all the things that you have here or there.
Where in Canada?
Montreal.
Do you speak French?
Oui.
Okay.
That's a bonus.
I did. Have you done the Halifax Comedy Fest?
No.
I just did it. It was pretty cool.
Fuck off. How did you do it? My gosh. Pretty funny. Why didn't I get that? Apparently. To Halifax.
It's the first time I did comedy in a different country.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was wild.
It wasn't any different.
No, it's not different. They were much better crowds, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Than a lot of places I've been in.
Okay, well, that's good.
But I met a lot of Canadians.
What did you think of Halifax?
I didn't really get to enjoy it, but it was. It seemed like
it's a very friendly city.
I mean, I feel like Canada they're just friendlier.
For the most part.
Where's the bad parts? Like where they're not friendly? Montreal.
Well, it depends on what color your skin is. I'm sorry to say, New Brunswick, stay away from New Brunswick.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, gosh. I don't even know.
Are you going to get us canceled here?
I had a bad experience there with a friend who was different.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
They had the bad experience?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay.
We were both there because we were together. I think for the most part, though, it is a friendly city. But what people also, or friendly country, pardon me. But people also mistake Canada for being this perfect utopian, no racism and stuff like that. But there is. There's racism in Canada as well. The thing with Canada is it's less population, so people aren't as pushed together.
Right.
In the cities.
More spread out.
As they are here, and then they have a slightly better social net, whatever, healthcare. Mm-hmm. People don't feel as desperate. They're not as angry, blah, blah, blah. You know what happens.
Less crime, yeah.
Less crime. So less crime, less racism, less anger, blah, blah, blah.
Less guns.
Less guns too. Less handguns. Lots of rifles, though.
Harder to conceal.
Very true.
Harder to conceal at a bank robbery.
That is very true, yeah.
Unless you see that movie, what's the movie with the bank robbers with Patrick Swayze?
Yeah. Was it were they surfing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was Keanu Reeves in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Surfer dudes rob a bank.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What the fuck is that name? All right.
Yeah, I think everybody knows though.
You know what I'm talking about.
We'll think of it.
They used rifles in this.
Did they?
They had bigger guns.
Interesting.
I could be wrong. Anyway, Point Break.
Point Break.
Blank.
Yes.
Point Break.
No, it's Point Break.
Break. Yeah. So you grew up in Canada. Let's talk about your childhood. What was that like? What they have schools there?
Surprisingly, they did.
High school? Is it called high school?
I grew up in a town so small that it was just one school.
Really?
Yeah, K to 12.
How many people did you graduate high school from?
22.
22?
Yeah.
How big is this town?
It was like about between 2,000 and 3,000. It was a mining town.
Okay.
A small
blue collar town.
Yeah. I mean,
they have collars there.
They have literally blue. It's a mining town.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean,
everyone was a miner.
Well, everyone was connected to the mining industry somehow, aside from the subsidiary businesses.
Yeah.
But the mine was the main employer. It's like, the story. It's a common story.
Coal miner's daughter.
America. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Was Dolly Parton there?
Dolly Parton, no, but Shania Twain was. So.
Oh yeah, she's Canadian.
That's right.
Look at that! You guys have all these stars.
She's from Timmins, Ontario. Not too far from my neck of the woods,
Okay.
but much bigger because it had like 3 gold mines supporting it.
What are they mining in your town?
They were mining zinc, copper, sort of the lower valued metals, but still the ones that get used a lot.
Is it still
zinc.
existing?
No, it's ran out of ore eventually.
Ran out of ore?
Ran out of minerals, or whatever you want.
So what happened to the town?
The town is a fraction. If you thought it was small before,
when they run out of ore, what happens? They close down the mines.
Well, yeah. That's what
I'm serious. I don't understand. Yeah. So like one day it's just like we're all out of ore.
One day there's no more.
Were you
ore
there when that happened?
Yes, I was.
So what happened?
It's like
was your dad a miner?
He was in mining.
Okay.
He was a geologist and then he became a manager, and so he was more in the white collar side of things. So he just went to another mine.
Do you know the joke I have about geologists?
What's that?
So if you ever play paper, rock, scissors with them, always go paper.
You think they're going to go rock?
Yeah. You're welcome. You can have that.
All right, if you say so. Do you have like a stock joke when people like on the street ask you to do a joke?
I've been waiting to do that joke. My friend Colby gave that to me. Shout out to Colby. And I've been waiting to do that. And sure as shit, I meet someone who was a geologist, and I thought it was going to crush.
Right.
Same reaction you got. I was like, fuck you guys. I've been waiting 2 years to use this joke, and it didn't work.
But do you have like a stock joke? Because I know a lot of times, understand, like West comedians, we always get asked to make you laugh. Someone come up to you on the street and say, "Make me laugh." Oh, you're a comic. Make me laugh. You go through customs.
No.
What are you doing in this country? I'm a comic.
Really? I say I'm not on the clock. That's what I say because I don't want to talk.
Okay.
But I have like stock jokes for kids, like clean jokes that I'll say. But
I have a stock joke now that works that I do every time someone says, "Oh yeah, make me laugh." And my stock joke, and it works actually. It's what's blue and smells like red paint? Blue paint. What's wrong with you?
That's
bad. My tag.
I think the geologist is better.
I don't know. I've got solid results from that.
I didn't deliver the paper rock thing as good as I should have.
Well, you had everything set up here for the. you had a microphone. Yeah.
All right. Your dad's a geologist in the town, and then all of a sudden, all the ore is gone.
All of a sudden, one day, people are like, "All right, folks, that's it.
No more ore.
We've mined our last rock. Everybody hit the bricks."
And then they find a different job.
But the thing is that's coming, right? Because they're
slower.
They know, a few years ahead of time. And it's like, okay, unless we find a new vein, they call it veins, because this was called open shaft mining. Unless you find a new vein of ore that can be economically harvested or extracted. Right. Sorry, harvest, that's not the wrong word. But this mine's closing. So people generally know ahead of time that it's coming. They go into
other fields.
It's not sudden. It's not one day you wake up and you're not going to work anymore. It's usually at least a year in the making. People get the message and like, look.
So what did you do growing up in a town with 22 people in your class? Like what did you do in high school? What was there to do in that town?
Well, it depends on the year, right? In the summer, it was all about lake. It was all about water skiing, fishing, camping, motorbiking, ATV, hunting maybe. I never hunted, just fished. And it was all of the outdoors. We were way, way up there. This is 7 hours north of Duluth, my friend. So when I look back on it, I love the city, but it was an idyllic childhood. Yeah. It really was, so we didn't have fucking, 100, whatever movie theaters or
a bathroom
or any, outhouses, whatever. We didn't have them fancy things that you city folk had. But
purified water.
Well, we didn't need to purify our water because it was all fucking clean to begin with.
Sure. We'll find out later. We'll see how your sperm is swimming. Oh, I guess not.
Honestly, though, it was idyllic.
Is it? So I was just in Fargo. And it was light out at like 10:30 at night. Was that similar to or was that?
Yeah, a little bit.
It was like light out in the summer.
It stays lighter out there.
It's insane.
You're further north.
We did a show. We got out. It was 10 o'clock. It was still light out.
Yeah. That's the latest, though. That's sort of at the... You must have been there like July 1st or something. Or like now. Yeah.
So what did you do at night there when you were in high school? Like, what did you get into trouble?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, well, it was a lot of drinking. And it was a lot of drinking outdoors at the pits. There was this area called the Pit where the cops didn't go. And it was like about a mile or two out of town. Now you're really in the bush. And it was just this big pit, sand pit, and just formed naturally in the woods. And it'd just be dozens, hundreds of people, and then there'd be a fight. Of course, there's always going to be a fight.
Hundreds of people?
Yeah, sometimes.
How was that? You said your town was there adults here, or was it just all kids?
It was like age range was about 15 to 25.
Oh my God!
Yeah. It was good times, though, man. Like, we'd fucking call everyone with their pickup trucks and come and they'd show off their...
Did you have a pickup truck?
No, unfortunately, I didn't, man. I fucking wanted one.
Did you ever get a pickup truck?
No,
ever?
I had my dad's Pontiac Parisienne.
Parisienne, what is that?
It's just a boat of a car. It's just a Cadillac.
What's the American version? Okay.
No, it wasn't a
Bonneville.
It was a GM. No, Bonneville. A little bit longer though.
Okay.
So I had that car he let me have. It was a great car.
So you go out there with your Pontiac
Parisienne. You've never heard Parisienne? It's Parisienne.
I believe you.
Parisian.
I'm gonna Google it afterwards. See what it looks like. You go there, you guys are drinking what, Labatt's Blue?
Exactly. Labatt's Blue. You nailed it.
Am I right?
Labatt's Blue or Molson Canadian.
Molson. Moosehead too, right?
Nah, no. It was just one of those two. It was
just
either Molson Canadian or Labatt's Blue, and some of the chicks would have the wine coolers. You remember the wine coolers?
Of course I do. Bartles and James.
And maybe some hard alcohol there thrown in, but mostly beer.
And then... what else could you do other than that? What would you guys do there? Just sit and drink?
Just sit and drink, man.
Yeah.
And then wait for a fight. I'm serious.
Were people like hooking up out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd take my girlfriend out there. What else are we gonna fucking do?
Yeah.
I hadn't. My girlfriend was a redhead girl, and I still remember her, and she's a bit younger than me, but whatever. It's small town.
It was legal?
It was legal.
Okay.
I think it was. You don't need to revisit that. What's the statute of limitations?
Well, you said 15. 15 is... Yeah.
15, yeah. She would have been 15. I would have been 17 or 18.
You're fine.
I'm fine.
Canadian laws.
Canadian laws. So that was what we did. And we waited for a fight. And if, usually if one didn't have, that was fine. But it was no big deal, and then we'd go home, and that was it.
Did you get into fights yourself?
Oh yeah.
Were you a good fighter?
Yeah. I held my own.
Yeah.
Most of my fights were like in middle school.
Okay.
But I had maybe 2 or 3 as a high school.
What was the fight like? Were you bullied, or was it just because your dad was a geologist?
Yeah, like everyone.
They're like, paper rock this.
This guy
fucking punch you with
geology
rocks.
thinks he's special.
I don't know.
What were the reasons? I don't know.
No, was it like, were you bullied, or was it like it was just?
Oh yeah, I mean for a while when I was younger, but then by the time I was 17 or 18, I wasn't bullied anymore. I was holding my own.
Typically, comedians that are either they were like bullied, or they were like the bully. Like, where did you fit in? Were you already funny in high school, or not really?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was funny. It was weird. It was a weird dynamic for me because I was bullied as a younger boy, like more in the middle school thing. But when I got to high school, not so much anymore.
You were taller, I bet.
I was taller. I was bigger, about what I am now. I got to this height very quickly, and I was incredibly athletic.
Okay.
So I was on all the sports teams, the hockey team, basketball team. And so I was popular in that degree. And I was just physically above average, strength, whatever. So that's not going to get you bullied when you're on the jock side of the divide. So it didn't happen. But I wasn't a bully. I mean, I preferred to make people laugh. I didn't believe in bullying, and that's the honest to goodness truth.
Yeah.
I often protected some of the kids that would get bullied. A lot of times I stepped in and
you're like the bodyguard.
I was. I was.
If you've got a school of like, I'm guessing 100 people.
No, it was more.
Well, you're 22 in your class.
Yeah.
So the class below you was another 22.
Not everybody graduates, you know. It's fucking mining town, Paul.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, there's
100. Okay, you're right. There's about 150 high school
excluding the
students.
K through
150 high school students.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So you're all. I mean, like, were you really a jock, or was it because there was only 7 people over 5'4"?
You know. It's probably a bit of both.
Okay.
You know, it was probably I was athletic.
And were you really funny, or was it because there was only 20 people in your class?
No, that I'd say I was actually funny because you can't fake funny.
Yeah.
You can jock. Yeah, you can fake that because if you, like you said, the pool was so small.
Right. So,
I mean, you're right. I would not have made. I was on my high school basketball team. I would not have made the high school basketball team in your school.
Yeah. Were you a night owl back then, or not really?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we were.
So
we were just hanging out.
Did you have curfews in?
Yeah, but I didn't follow them.
Yeah,
we didn't follow them. Our parents didn't worry about us.
Yeah, it was a different time.
It was a different time.
And it was a different country.
And it was a different country. And there, what were you going to get in trouble doing?
Yeah.
It was. I think the biggest concern was just what was it? It was probably just driving intoxicated. That's probably the big thing.
I think for us, it was
or not wearing a condom and getting someone pregnant. And now what are you going to do? The
drinking and driving was really bad in my area too. Yeah. We just didn't learn from our mistakes. But yeah, that was the thing too. Like when we were kids growing up, the biggest thing in Chicago or the suburbs of Chicago was getting kidnapped. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to be taken."
Really?
But I feel like that is you so couldn't weird. Get taken in a town. Everyone knows everybody.
No, you couldn't. That was probably.
Did you try to take my kid? It's like. I saw you.
There was no way you were going to kidnap
someone. Yeah, everyone knows everybody.
And there's only one road out of town, one going west, the other one going east.
They would see you.
They would see you, and then if you were and then they would radio to the cops in the next town.
And they'd be like, "What are you trying to do?"
Just putting up a roadblock was the easiest fucking thing, because it was just one road.
This is one car.
It's just one highway that runs through northern Canada. That's it. If you're on a different road, you better have a fucking tent and a year's supply of canned food or something.
Well, they had
because you're going deep into the woods, my friend.
They could literally block the roads with one police car.
With one police car. It's true. So that was getting kidnapped was of zero concern to everyone.
After high school, did you leave that town?
Oh yeah, straight away.
Where'd you go?
Montreal. Well, I went to college there and to McGill.
I've heard of McGill.
Yeah, so it's a pretty most people.
That's a good school.
It's one of the best.
Were you
Canada.
Smart?
Apparently, I was. But,
what did you get on your school? Like, did you guys have ACTs and SATs? Obviously,
no,
it was
we
called
didn't do
something
that
else.
stuff.
How did you get into college there?
I just had good high school marks.
Did you do good in college?
No.
You didn't do good?
No.
Because
just my heart wasn't in it. I didn't want to do it. I was doing what my dad wanted me to do.
Geology.
Accounting, exactly. And I wanted to be a comedian, but I wasn't ready to put my foot down, so to speak.
What were you doing? Did you do comedy yet? Like
no, I just felt it in my bones.
Really?
I was funny as a kid. I did do a lot of like whatever voices and impressions and shit like that, and whatever I could do. However, whenever I could get an audience, I'd do something.
Did you guys have theater or anything there?
Yes, I was in the drama club.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how many people were in that club?
Again, Paul, probably wouldn't have made the drama club in your school, but you know what? I took advantage of the situation like any good kid would. And I was like, oh, chess club right here, drama club right here, math club here.
When you had like 12 angry men, they just were like, well, we're just going to have 6 angry people.
No, we just dressed up some girls.
You had 12 though?
We found 12.
Did you get arrested or anything? Did you ever have any trouble with the law?
I think the only time I had a problem with the police in Montreal, the only time I ever got lucky was when the Canadians won the Stanley Cup. The city went crazy, as you can imagine, and the streets just flooded. And I remember we flooded out in the street, and this tourist bus just got caught at the wrong moment. It didn't escape quickly enough, and then within moments it was like surrounded, and it wasn't moving an inch for hours. And so we were trying to climb up on top of the bus, right? Because we were just fucking gonna really make these tourists pay for our Stanley Cup, winning the Stanley Cup. And I remember one of my buddies had gotten up onto the bus, and I was right behind him, and I had both hands on the back of the top of the bus, about to pull myself up, and I feel these two enormous hands grab my buttocks like vices and throw me to the ground. And I look up, and it's like 6 or 7 Montreal police officers with their batons drawn, and I'm like, this is how it ends right here. Like, I thought they were going to lay the biggest beating on me, but instead the one guy just stuck his baton in my face and started yelling a bunch of curse words in French at me. And I was like, okay, he's probably still going to beat me though, right? And then they just walked away.
When was your first brush with comedy then, if it wasn't in college? How old were you?
Well, I was actually 29. I started late.
What did you do from 22 to 29?
I eventually got a job. I was a consultant for a while.
Accounting consultant?
No, more computers.
Okay.
Databases, stuff like that. Did that for 3 years. And that was right before. So this is kind of, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I got that job. It was a high paying job, and it was lucrative. And I had a fiance at the time. We were going to get married, but I still couldn't stop thinking about comedy. I still was holding on to this idea that I could be a stand-up comic. After graduating McGill, after getting this high paying job, and it still wouldn't go away. And then, so one night I just did I went to a show with coworkers, and there right at the end of the show, the host was like, oh, and by the way, if anyone wants to try stand-up comedy, open mics Monday, call this number on Saturday. And my friends looked at me sort of like, hey, Derick, maybe this is your chance, buddy. And I took him seriously, and I did the open mic, and I never looked back. I remember standing on stage before I even spoke my first word into the microphone, and I'm like, this is it. I already knew the moment I stepped behind the microphone.
How did you, before you get to that mic, why was it always in the back of your head? Like, where did you get the idea to do stand-up comedy? Or why did you think?
There was just a click.
What were you watching as a kid? Or what made you
This is going to date me in a way, but I think it was Saturday Night Live, though.
Okay.
I think it was those guys, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, and something just watching those guys.
Well, Dana was, yeah.
I used to think to myself, I could just make people laugh like that, doing these sketches, and what could be better than that? And I've always just enjoyed making people laugh. I think it started with my dad, who was a very intimidating man. For me, one of the best things was to make my dad laugh, like usually at the dinner table. If I was always on the lookout for a good street joke at school. And if I heard a good street joke, I was like, okay, I'm going to tell Dad this joke, and I'm going to tell this joke at the dinner table. And then so I'd wait for the right moment, and then I'd announce to my dad, I go, Dad, I have a joke for you. And my dad always loved to hear a good joke, So I'd say the joke, and if I made him laugh, that was like the greatest feeling in the world, just this one guy. Yeah. Because when my dad laughed, he had this big booming laugh, and it was the greatest sound in the world. I remember thinking that as a kid, and I don't think that ever left me. And I think the other thing is I wasn't happy. Right. I remember saying to myself, I said, money doesn't make you happy. It just makes you wonder why you're not. And so I said, well, what do I do? If I'm in the best possible situation I could be with a person with a business degree from McGill, I'm working at this great company making great money. If you're not going to be happy now, you've got to make a career change. And that's what I said to myself. And I said, well, let me try stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. And I did. And like I said, the moment I stepped there, I knew before I even had my first laugh from the audience. It was already a done deal. And so now it was just a question of how do I get out of this job, and, how do I resign, and then how do I break it to my fiance, and unfortunately my fiance wasn't, in for that journey.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. I remember this is before, like right in the first few weeks after I told her, and she was just kind of trying to hang on, trying to figure this out with me.
Like it's just the phase.
Yeah, maybe she was thinking that. And I remember I had my first paying gig, and it was $5 and a plate of spaghetti. It was an little Italian diner. It was paid $5 and a plate of spaghetti. Garlic bread was extra. And I asked for some garlic bread, and they charged me $2 for it. So then I had $3. And I brought $3 home and some leftovers for my fiance.
You didn't tip?
And fuck those guys. with their $2 for the garlic bread. How do you order spaghetti and not automatically get garlic bread?
That's funny.
It's fucking bullshit.
So you came home with $3.
I came home and that was the end.
Yeah.
My $3 in leftover spaghetti was just the fucking end for her. But that was hard because I had to choose between her and the career.
Right.
And I thought to myself, if I choose her, I'm always going to, in the back of my mind, I'm going to resent this.
You're going to resent her, too.
I'm going to resent her. And it was more out of love for her.
That you walked away.
I never wanted to look at her like that.
I always say that to people, too. Like, when I'm like, when I would be on dates, I'm like, I'm doing you a favor. Like, you do not want to get involved in this shit.
Yeah. So I did her a favor because I loved her. She was a nice girl, beautiful. Had been a model earlier in college.
Wow.
You know, work. And now she was an English teacher. And so she was a catch.
Reach out to her now. Tell her about the vasectomy. It's a new life. You don't know. She
didn't want kids. That's true. Fucking reach out to her. Oh, yeah. I wonder.
Facebook. You don't ever Google those people?
No, I didn't.
The girls from your Pontiac.
I'm a move forward.
Porsche car. What was
forward? Pontiac Parisienne.
Parisienne. You know, be like, remember
French.
me?
Yeah.
We're older now.
Yeah.
She probably didn't age as well as you did.
Yeah.
In that town.
I don't want to find out.
It's going to ruin the image. 29, you do that mic, open mic.
Yeah, yeah.
Were you good at first?
Yeah.
How did you know?
Just because people told me.
Yeah.
You know, and
did you move up pretty quickly after that $5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved up pretty quickly, and within a year, I got a booking on a Just for Laughs show. It was called the Montreal show, so it wasn't like a gala or New Faces.
Sure.
I don't know if your listeners will know that, but there are certain shows which in the Just for Laughs Festival is a big deal, but then there are certain shows which are above others. There's a hierarchy. It's called the Montreal show, and it's the best of Montreal. And so I got on that within a year.
That's amazing.
So that was a big fucking deal. And then it just kept going from there, you know, and so
you're 30 years old.
So I'm 30.
You're doing JFL.
Yeah.
With other people who are probably the same age, but have been doing comedy for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember doing a show with Kathleen Madigan, and we'd known her for a while, and a couple of other guys you would know. Harlan Williams was on the show as well, and he's a fantastic guy, by the way. So I was a big deal, and I don't know if I appreciated it that much at the time, but you know, suddenly being in the same room with those guys. You know.
So you had this regular 9 to 5 job? Is that how say it?
I had to do a 9 to 5 job because
No. I'm saying before you started doing comedy. I mean, obviously you had to do that to support yourself.
Oh, right. Was
it 9 to 5, or they call it something else in Montreal? Is it like 9:30 to 5:30? I don't know the time change.
No, the time change.
Do they take naps there? I don't know. Like, do they have
siestas? No, that's not what we did.
But it's French.
Yeah.
They do it.
Do they?
Yeah, French has
French have the siestas.
It's not called siesta, but they take like the afternoons.
Oh, right.
They didn't do that in Montreal.
No.
Okay.
It was a regular. It was a consulting job, so the hours were actually pretty long.
So you left that job. You started doing comedy full time, but you had to take on a job to make money. I take it.
For sure. Yeah,
okay. And what were you doing?
No money. I was working at a call center doing roadside.
Well, okay. You told me briefly about this.
Yeah.
Was this overnight?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I had to do the 11 till 7.
Is it like AAA? People would call in?
Yeah.
And you would be the dispatch?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd be the first guy you reach, man, when you call that number.
I'm assuming there's a lot of downtime with that, too, in Canada?
Yeah.
So you're just sitting, waiting for calls to come in?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, if you're doing the midnight shift, for sure.
Yeah.
I would be there fucking... for 8 hours. You fall asleep around 3, and then the phone ring at 3:30, and you're deep into sleep, right? And there's this guy or this girl on the other end of the line needs some serious help at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. Their car's broken down.
Yeah.
And so you wake up and you've got to get it together. This person, they're expecting someone lucid, and so there were times where I was half asleep doing a call. And I'm like, and you'd hear the voice on the other end go, "What?"
Because you said something crazy.
Big guy, and he goes, "Come and what?"
You turned into Bob Dylan.
It's just cool. Nonsense.
Yeah,
coming out of your mouth. And because you gotta watch out for the thing. You would get these bizarre calls. That was the hard thing, you know, because people are up to bizarre shit at that time of the night. I had one guy, I don't know if he was drunk or he's like, I locked myself out of my car.
He's probably drunk. It was 3 a.m.
No, it wasn't. He locked himself. I locked myself in my car. I can't get out of my car. I go, you can't get out of your car? He goes, no, the doors won't open. You got to send somebody to unlock my doors for me. And I, sir, we don't do lock-ins. We do lock-outs. You're locked in. I don't know if this is going to be covered.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I can't get my door open. I'm in my car.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to figure this out. Like, well, how can you not unlock your car? I don't know. Battery's dead. And I'm like, all right. Okay, is it like power? I don't know. I guess it's power. But can't you still?
Yeah, you can.
Is there a manual?
Just pull it up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't want to call it. You know, I wanted him to figure it out on his own. But I'm like, if this guy's telling the truth and he's locked into his car, and then he freezes in his car, I'm on the hook for that. Right? That's going into my evaluation, you know, and so I had to call the tow truck driver and explain it to him.
When you were working at that job, when it wasn't the midnight shift, you had to wake up at 9 a.m. and go there?
Yeah,
but you were doing comedy full time?
Yeah.
What were you doing? Like, how did you make that work if you're up late doing shows?
I told the people, the employer, you know, I said, look, here's the deal. Like, it's funny, when I sent out my, I was actually, in a way, I can't believe I did this. When I sent out my resumes, because when I'm looking for a job now, and so I would send out my resume, and I'd put on the top of my resume, I'd say, I'm a stand-up comic, and I'm looking for a company that's going to help support me in my career. And people are like, what the fuck?
Good luck with
that?
Yeah.
Good luck with that. But eventually that resume landed on somebody's desk who looked at it and said,
desperate.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That'll be so much fun.
Yeah.
And so then when she hired me, I said, so, you know, I'm going to need you to work with my schedule for comedy. She's like, no problem. And
they probably were like, yeah, he's gonna be a lifer.
Yeah.
They didn't think you were gonna be good. Yeah.
So I would say, these are the hours I need you to give me. And they worked with it.
Wow.
One person in the company didn't want to hire me. I think they had like a meeting. And because I had just come from a high-powered consulting firm.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? This guy seriously gave... Because this was a popular company I was working for. And I had a good job with them. And so the one guy was like... I never forget it. He was a French guy. He stole something for sure. He stole from them.
Got fired,
He's a criminal. Something happened. I know for sure. And they're like, no, he just wants to be a comic now. No, nobody wants to just become a comic. Yeah. And they're like, no, this is a real thing. He's really trying. He's following his dream, you know? But eventually he succumbed, and he never really fully trusted me. But then they fired him for stealing, and
he was projecting the whole time.
Yes, he was. Isn't that funny? The psychology.
It's always the case.
Isn't it interesting?
It's always the case. If someone is adamant about something, they're like people. Do you remember the politicians for a while you were in America by then. They were always like super gay, like against gay rights, and then they'd be the most gay people.
That's how you knew. Yeah.
How long were you working at that company for?
4 years.
4 years. So then you left it assumingly because comedy started paying the bills.
It threatened to pay the bills, and I just wanted to get out there as a touring comic.
Okay.
And if I was going to tour, I couldn't have a job. I'd have to make it work as a touring comic.
And you started touring in Canada first?
Yeah.
And then when did you shift over to America?
Not until I met my fiance.
Okay.
My new
second
fiance. And then I came to America.
She knew you were a comedian, so it was easier.
Yes, she did. We met at a comedy club.
She saw you doing comedy, and she wanted to.
Yeah, don't do that again.
Well, where you moved to Chicago?
Yeah, right away. Actually, not right away. First, Wyoming for a bit. Yeah,
why Wyoming?
Because she got a job there, and it was a decent job, and so I followed her there.
I think they have one comedy club still. I don't know.
They have they have a fucking
comedy
rodeo
show.
clown.
Yeah.
That's the guy I'm competing with.
Well, my show this weekend got canceled for a band. They were like, I did a show in Bowling Green. Like, oh, they decided to go with a band instead. I'm like, I'm already in
Isn't this
Louisville.
like the sketch we did? This sounds exactly like
it
the
does.
fucking sketch
Swear to
we
God.
did.
But they decided.
That actually happened?
It really happened. So after that, you moved Wyoming straight to Chicago?
Now I was in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember just struggling. It was the
what
worst
year
time
was
in
this?
my life. It was the worst time in my life.
Where? What year was this now?
It's 2009.
Okay.
2009.
So what changed things? How did you get from 2009 to non-struggling anymore?
Well, I don't know that it ever felt like I wasn't completely struggling, but it was a slow climb.
Okay.
Where I had to start all over again, where I had to go back to square one. Hi, can I do a guest spot at your club? Great. Hey, do you think I can do a host? Great. How about feature? How did the feature go? You liked it? Do you think I could headline? And so that 3 to 4 year fucking process, I had to begin again.
Yeah.
And it was hard. And it was hard because now I was married and then kids were coming along the way. And it's probably what led to my divorce eventually.
Well, you were also doing touring at the time. Not only you were performing.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough. I was touring. I got most of my work at that point in my career coming to Chicago was back in Canada, ironically.
Okay.
So moved all the way to the United States to start touring in Canada again.
Okay.
And because those were the only clubs that knew me. I mean, and the audience didn't know me in the United States. The audience knew me in Canada because I'd been on Just for Laughs numerous times, television specials. I'd done a 1 hour comedy special, which was similar to a Comedy Network, a Comedy Central special. I'd done a full hour one for Canadian television. So, the audience knew me up there. They didn't know me down here.
Yeah.
And so I would be lucky if I managed to get 6 headlining gigs in the United States a year.
Let's talk about like later in life. You're in Chicago. You're married with kids.
Yeah.
And then you're doing comedy at night pretty much on the regular, like let's say 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
And then you have to you didn't have a day job, so you're doing comedy full time.
Yeah.
So what are you doing during the day during that time?
I was looking after my kids.
Yeah.
Because my wife had her job.
When are you writing then?
During that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, kids, go watch Sesame Street, and then go 30
or something
minutes.
Like that. Depends on the age, Sometimes it's nap time, and then you got to, get your time in there.
If you were doing shows in town when you had your kids, after the shows you wouldn't hang out. You'd go back home, right?
Yeah, that was the kind of the problem, I think, to a certain degree.
So people wouldn't know who you are, really.
No, the networking became very hard at that point, because networking is an after-hours job.
After shows, right?
It's an after-hours job, which I was happy doing in Montreal because it was fun, and I was good at it. And now I had a wife and kids at home, and I didn't manage that properly. Yeah, you just lose the energy for it. That's the thing. Someone once told me stand-up comedy is an old man's art form, but a young man's game.
It's a young man's game. But now you're born again as a single guy.
Now I'm bored again. And,
you're like, let's go out. Let's network.
Yeah,
I know.
To a certain degree, but,
Not Sunday, Monday.
Not the Sunday, So I kind of found sort of a balance, I guess you could say. But now at least after a show, I can hang out or I can come here and do this podcast.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. So now after the show, tonight you just headlined a show at a world famous club. Yeah. We don't want to give them free promo on this thing. We'll cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. Zanies is friend of the show.
That's what I was thinking.
I was just fucking around. You're wired after a show.
Yeah.
How do you come down from that?
It depends. You're right though. You are freaking jacked and wired. A lot. What I used to do when I was younger was I'd listen to my set. Or find some guys who want to have a drink. If you have friends, you can do that. If it's the weekend, that kind of thing. Go for a bourbon and a cigar somewhere with friends.
You're a cigar smoker?
Yeah, once a week.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, sleep is not one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't sleep. So
it's sleep after a show.
Are you now? Well, you were here long enough where you probably have friends in the non-comedy world that live in Chicago.
Yeah.
How do you maintain those friendships with your hours being? They're like regular people, I assume.
Yeah.
How do you maintain contact with them? Especially like when you're going on the road you're like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks on this cruise or on a tour or whatever.
Yeah, it was easier when I was married because, you have a wife to help figure that out and to run the social.
Like, this is what we're going to, yeah.
Yeah, but when suddenly it fell on me to do that, it's harder. It's definitely hard. I don't have a lot of friends outside the comedy world. I mean, I have a few. I met some tonight.
They came to see you.
Came to see me. I went, and this was a good thing about this show so my show ended at 8:30,
right.
And then I went out for some drinks with them.
And they had to go home.
Then they had to go home. I was like, that's fine because I got to go do Paul's podcast.
I kind of
Tonight was a perfect fucking. If only it was that easy every night,
Yeah.
But being social as a comedian is very hard. Because not only that, but we do our shows. We're not part of a sketch troupe. We're not part of a
It's a
band.
one-man show.
It's a one-man show. And then you travel with that. And so you're really leading for very much a solitary existence. Maybe you meet a few guys you like at the club, but then you're gone. And you come in and out of people's lives. So
you're
often.
friends with that comedian next time you're in Kentucky or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
Or maybe
I
someone working for the club, maybe.
Right. It's a fucked up situation.
It's a crazy business because you're basically you're in the nightclub business.
But do you like the solitude? I mean, I know that you're a family guy at the heart based on your thing, but now that you've had that life and you still kind of do because you get the best of both worlds, do you like going on the road where you're like, I do kind of want to just sit in my fucking hotel. I don't want to go out after, or do you feel lonely when you're on the road?
It depends on how much I do, but for the most part, I like going out on the road. I like seeing new towns.
Yeah, me too.
It spurs me creatively. My creativity gets spurred by that. When I find the moment I'm traveling out of town, I'm writing new jokes.
Yeah,
it's weird, and
that's
so.
Great.
I don't like routine, it stresses me out. I can't do it. I need things to be changing and different all the time.
Yeah.
Traveling helps with that. And if I were to stay, that's why I couldn't do the consulting job.
Yeah. We have gone way over time. I apologize, Derick.
I didn't realize that.
Good talk. But
I can see Justin getting a little fidgety.
He's got to wake up. He's got a day job. But we're out of time. Where can people find out more about your upcoming shows and stuff?
Well, the best part is to go to mrderick.com.
Spell it. I'll put it here.
MRDERICK.
I remember it's so hard to fucking spell your name sometimes.
DERICK.
Spell it in Canadian Mineral Town way.
Yeah, Canadian Mineral Town.
And then
go to that. Or go to Mr. Derick Comedy on Instagram.
And then, the geologist joke I told you before.
Yeah,
you're going to use that when you go back to town.
Got it locked in.
Is your dad still around?
Can I work on it, by the way?
Yeah.
Do you mind? Because I feel like there might be something.
Oh, if you can fix it for me.
Can I come with another version of that?
Is your dad still around?
Yes, he is.
So go to do the joke to him, see if it works.
Okay, I will.
Will you report back and tell me if he liked it?
I will.
I think that you're not giving me enough credit to that joke.
I feel like there's something there, but
it's not even my joke. It's my friend's joke. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Derick.
My pleasure.
Thank you all for listening or watching another episode. Go to sleep.